All right. Hello, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today, Wednesday, for another Talking Tech with Ty. Not only are we here talking tech with Ty, that's me, your girl. Today is a focus on our learner series, and I am highlighting Strively, which is a job training program, a boot camp, and I have a learner from Strively here with us today, Marvin Williams. So before I formally introduce Marvin, I want to talk to you a bit about what Strively is and who Strively is. So, Strively's mission is to reduce prison recidivism. They do this by training the candidates for careers in tech sales. And as everyone knows, I've done a tech sales boot camp. So, you know, it's really great to talk to people that are transforming their lives personally and professionally by starting new careers, starting new jobs, and seeing how that helps them grow professionally and personally because we're all about transformation. Now, the program is really hoping to support and serve a population of talented, motivated, and capable individuals who are ready for their opportunity to have a thriving career in technology. And as I always tell you, I'm really focused on community, I'm really focused on technology. And I am never surprised when I find all of these boot camps that have a specific focus, and finding Strively was like, wow, this sounds like a really great program that has a mission that is targeted to a very specific niche group of people to help them. And that's what we need. We need community. We need to talk about why this solution helps this problem or why this issue needs to be addressed. So I'm going to pull it back now because it's really all about Marvin. And I want to introduce Marvin Williams, who is a learner with Strively. Hey, Marvin.
Hi, Ty. Thank you, and thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm really excited to learn from you, as I am excited to learn so much more in the cohort of Strively, and I'm grateful to be here. So, thank you for the opportunity.
This is absolutely wonderful. Um, it is it is very important for people to know that programs like this exist. And that's why I have you here. And you've been generous and gracious enough to say, yeah, I'll talk about my experience and let's get into
Yes,
it. So, where are
yes,
you currently located? Because everybody knows your girl is out in Brooklyn, New York.
yeah, yes.
Where are
You're
you
on a whole
located?
nother coast than myself. I've never been to Brooklyn, but I plan to go one day. I'm all the way on the West Coast, Oakland, California. Currently East Bay area. A
All
lot of
right.
people know about the Bay Area, so we're completely coast to coast, almost exactly. Um, and a little bit about myself: born and raised in Oakland, California,
Mhm.
and just kind of I kind of stumbled on into the Strively cohort through another organization, trying to get my life together, and going through a lot of different trials. I'll touch on lightly and
Listen, Marvin.
experiences.
Sorry, we all go through trials and tribulations. That's what it's like being human. We're all on this journey. So, I just want
Yes,
to make sure that we're clear on that now. We're all living this life, which is a journey. That's why they say that today is the present because it's a gift. Now, sorry, you were saying.
it really is a gift. You're right. And so, yeah, so Kate, the director of operations.
And the
Beautiful
founder.
spirit, amazing, yes, and founder of the organization. Beautiful spirit, just a loving person overall. Took the time to reach out to me and worked with me diligently to get me to on board as I was going through some different transitioning periods to get focused, really. And that's something that I think is lightly touched upon, but it's really hard to transition from a former lifestyle or a lot of people coming from maybe an incarcerated background and then trying to transition into a professional environment, getting organized, finding a certain location, finding a place, maybe getting some technology like a laptop to sit down and then focus is just a whole hard transition in itself. But after getting that done, I onboarded with Tribely, and here I am talking to you.
You make it sound so simple. Now, like I mentioned, life is a journey. We all go through trials and tribulations. No human being is exempt from trials and tribulations. So let's
Yes.
get that clear right away, right? But
Okay.
Strively is a program that is focused on assisting formerly incarcerated peoples and having
Yes.
them transform their lives by getting careers in the tech field, specifically by training them to become salespeople. So I'm an
Yes.
SDR, sales development representative, and you're training to be an SDR, sales development representative, or BDR, business development representative, which is an alternate term for that role. So
Okay.
you talked about Kate. Now, and she's the founder, and I'm hoping to have her on this series, but for the founder series. Now, I want to
Okay.
talk about where you were in your life because incarceration means it has a definition, but if you go to jail for a night, or if you go to prison, those are different things. But this seemed for a lot of people, jail is jail is jail. Not everybody knows the
Yes.
difference between jail and prison, or even
Yes.
rehab and all these things. And that is for people to educate themselves at different points in time. But I,
Yes.
I want to know, where were you? Because we are all, like I said, going through transitions, have trials and tribulations. Where were you? And more so, why Strively? Because I don't think that this is the only program of its nature, but we're talking about this program. So
Okay.
you tell
Okay.
us.
Well, thank you for shining a light on that. I'm looking to learn more about those other programs too. So this is exciting. Um, where was I? Um, I would say I was um, coming from humble beginnings. I'll say it like that. Growing up in East Oakland in an environment that can be very violent, can be
Mhm.
very not welcoming. But that was the story in my story that led to not a full life of criminal activity, but definitely going in that direction. So, um, making some mistakes, and circling myself around the wrong people. That in that type of atmosphere, sometimes can be the all that you can turn towards. Um, and getting involved in some activities that may have derailed me, but really was more so of a blessing, right? Because if I didn't go through those trials or didn't go through those experiences, leading on my own laurels, it would not have led me to discover people who did turn me over to an organization such as Strively.
Okay.
I was kind of introduced to Strively through a grassroots organization that
Mhm.
was trying to also combat and reduce the recidivism rate through providing financial literacy classes, providing housing and shelter opportunities. But really, at the end of the day, it's up to the individual, right? It's up to the individual to take
Absolutely.
advantage of some of those opportunities. And then I got introduced to Kate, and through that organization to Kate in the Strively cohort. And from there, um, already had a sales background previously and just felt maybe you might want to give this a shot. Maybe it's something that you might be interested in. A little intimidated and taken back with technology because technology is a lot of people, such as yourself, that are extremely, extremely talented, extremely smart. And it's a vast amount of people and individuals of different subsects and sectors of technology. So it's a little intimidating at first, but with Kate and the team that she has put together, giving you the basics and making you feel welcome, allowing you to be vulnerable, allowing you to speak your truth and kind of let your hair down a little bit. Um, I fell right in, and
Okay.
here I am. Yeah.
Well, that is awesome. I want to clarify a little bit more in terms of the fact, like, where were you? Like, right now we are in 2022. Are you a current fellow in the Strively cohort? And how long have you been in the program? So, did you learn about Strively like a year ago, or did you learn about Strively 3 months ago? Where are you in the program progression?
Okay. So no, I knew about Strively. Wow, since 2019, I want to say, and
Mhm.
it's been some ups and downs with as far as my story. Homelessness. and seeking shelter,
Mhm.
other things to overcome,
Trials,
struggles.
trials and struggles.
Yeah,
We understand that.
yeah. So that was what actually I knew Kate before, right before I met Kate, right before she finalized all of the background to getting her business established, to getting Strively established. So I was kind of introduced to her in, I want to say, late 2019,
Gotcha.
2018, somewhere in there, and have been trying to like move into um, getting myself in a position to work with Kate. So I am a recent and current um, student or person that's
Learner,
in the
fellow.
program, learner in the program. And I've been currently doing this thing since January.
Okay,
So,
great.
yeah,
So you are more than a quarter into this, which is
yes,
wonderful. We're wishing you continued success.
yes,
So we all I like that you also mentioned a grassroots organization in your immediate neighborhood that you had started with first, and they were providing you with certain skills. Like, let's be clear, we're on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you know how much I love you. And LinkedIn
LinkedIn
is
is amazing.
place for it really is. LinkedIn is a
It really
place
is.
for community when it comes to like it's really talking about careers. And every career, every job, there's transition. So I'm happy to hear that there was a community-based organization, and I want you to shout them out when I'm done. A community-based organization that was providing the support that you needed with they were providing financial acuity classes, as you mentioned, shelter and those things. And we
Yes,
have to be very clear as human beings that everyone needs support. We've heard the saying, no man is an island, but everyone needs support to transition
yes,
from one step to the other, from,
yes,
you know, adolescent, excuse me, baby to toddler, toddler to adolescent,
yes,
adolescent to
yes,
teenager. We're always in a state of transition. So I just want to commend the organizations that the grassroots organizations within your community that supported you in that transition so that you could
yes,
do the things that you needed to do to grow and learn and then be supported by another organization that could help you specifically in your professional transition. So one supported you in your personal, because let's be clear, we don't know what we don't know. you know,
right,
we don't know what
right.
we don't know. So all of these programs are education is needed. People assume that
Yeah,
you will learn by osmosis. No, everyone needs to be taught. No one can be taught implicitly or explicitly.
yes,
So I'm happy to know that
yes,
there are these services in your neighborhood and in your community, just like we have them here in New York, and hopefully people have access to these things around the nation. But if you don't, that's why we're talking about programs like this, because you may not even know that these things are accessible and available. So wanted to really ask you like about COVID, because there's been an acceleration of people doing job training programs or tech boot camps like Strively due to COVID. So yes,
yeah,
boot camps like this were around formulating prior to COVID. So they were in a really great space to take on learners that were looking to transition at whatever points that they were in their lives. So, could you briefly touch on, your transition from where you were before Striving and where you are right now? And, let's talk about how you may have been affected by COVID. Here you are more than a quarter of the year into this program. So, maybe where you were last year maybe in December prior to starting Strively and its
COVID.
effect so
Uh,
far.
yeah, yeah, I can speak to that. So to be a little bit transparent, I guess I'll have to. So COVID affected everybody,
Yeah.
indirectly or directly, and it changed the way that we do things and the way the world operates from
Mhm.
here on out. Um, I actually benefited a lot from the online platforms, Zoom meetings, Zoom, and um, communicating to people. At first, I guess I was skeptical about it. I was a little taken back because I'm like, oh, this is going to be kind of boring, or this is going to be a little bit dry. But that's not the case. It's actually um, a lot more welcoming. The technology has, I want to say, caught up to the times, which is really, really interesting how that merged. Um, but where I was in life and still kind of going through um, at the same time currently, but more on the latter end, going upward as opposed to staying stagnant. And that's transitioning and recovering into a state where it's just an upward climb. Um, so living in different transition housing and transitioning periods allowed me to use Zoom and to use um, this type of technology, which worked in so many different ways. It was convenient, so I couldn't miss meetings. And from that, getting on with Strively and being a online boot camp, tech boot camp, like you mentioned, um, it actually worked better in my favor than to try to meet up in person. Of course, you don't want to put anyone else at risk, and it
Mhm.
was just really, really tough times to go out and see family members and children missing graduation. So it was so much that COVID has changed, but I think in hindsight, it actually has benefited me based on where I was transitioning into my life, and then also opening doors of communication through this type of platform that actually has helped
Absolutely.
me a lot more. Yeah.
And that's really wonderful to hear. Now, you had mentioned that you had some sales experience prior. So, a program
Yes.
like this, if it was just specifically tech sales, then it would be upskilling you, growing your
Yes.
skills. But
Yes.
also, to some extent, this is reskilling you as well because now you're applying it to tech. So, some people
That's true.
might be wondering, maybe in the audience, I have to think about everyone who's going to attend this. Like, why Strively? And I just want to talk about Strively a little bit. So, I want to talk about the fact that there is a need for programs like Strively, and I don't think Strively is the only one, but I'm really excited that I get a chance to speak to you about Strively, and I want people to understand why this niche program focusing on formerly incarcerated people is so important. Like Marvin mentioned that he's from Oakland, the East Bay, and I want to just show y'all something. So California as a state has an imprisonment rate of, for every 100,000 people, 309 people are in prison. The total prison population is over 122,000 people. Those are people that are part of our overall population, our citizens. Here in America alone, our prison, US as a whole, prison population is approximately 2.1 million people. Those are our family members. Those are our friends. Those are people that are part of our community. And you know what? There will be a time when they will rejoin us and come back and be um, positive, beneficial members of our community. And one
Yeah.
thing we talked about was the real focus of this program is about reducing recidivism. And recidivism is people who were formerly incarcerated going back into the system because
Yes.
the they might not think that they have the community support nor the skills, you know,
Yes.
to continue to live in the world outside of the prison system. So it's very important, just like we all need to upskill and reskill because technology is changing and moving with a fast progression. You have to learn different technologies. You have to know how to do your
Yes.
job faster and better, or maybe a cyborg or a robot might replace
Exactly.
you. All of these things are important, and they're
Yes.
important to reskill and upskill our formerly incarcerated community members. So I just wanted to give you a few stats on that. And I let you know that the US prison population in 2022 is currently approximately 2.1 million people. But think about that in comparison to our world prison population, that's approximately 10.35 million people. Those are a lot of people. You know,
Yes.
that is a lot of people that need the support, need to also be taught how to maintain and grow and strive. And I think that that might be the basis
Yes.
of the word strively. We're striving to do better, and
Right. To
whether
strive
you've
to do
been
better. Yes.
incarcerated or not, we're all striving, you know? We're
Yes.
all striving. Okay, let me hop off my little soapbox.
No, you're all
As
right. You're doing good.
y'all know I get excited, you know. But now I'd like to really talk to you about what do you think the benefits have been so far of your time being in the Strively program as a learner?
Oh, the benefits. First of all, I have a mentor, and my mentor is just amazing. And the
Shout
people
your
that I've
mentor
met.
out.
Yeah. So Raymond, I want to give a shout out to Raymond Brad Hopkins. Yeah, Raymond is amazing. Very, very humble, very professional, and killing it in the game, and just got promoted. So we want to congratulate him on the AE. Yeah,
Or
the mentor
sorry,
is the
just
big
really quickly, or account executive for those people that
account
aren't
executive. I'm
familiar.
sorry. Yeah,
So account,
yeah, because I'm
sorry,
speaking in
don't
terms
worry, but account
of the
executive.
different positions now.
Yes. So continue.
So yes, so the mentor in learning just how to be a mentee, right, and learning how
Mhm,
to be a mentor is a whole nother experience. And having a mentor to guide me and coach me into organization, really
mhm,
learning how to organize myself, and learning different um, platforms such as Salesforce, and I don't
mhm.
even know what that was, and how to like generate or take leads and then convert those leads into contacts. So I'm learning a lot of these different technology um, um, aspects of things. But the people I've met, the support system, the team, the different shout out to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has a huge in learning platform
Yeah.
that is so much content. It is so much content and professionals within this community on LinkedIn that just
Mhm.
have major support. There's so many people who have been through, like you said, trials and tribulations and struggles within their lives. And I'm not alone. I'm a little shy on camera, but we'll get past that
And
over
some of
time.
us some of us have trials and tribulations that could be so traumatic or so much that we end up in a place like jail for a night or a few
Yeah.
months, or incarcerated
Even
in
years.
prison
Yeah.
for
Some
even
people. Yeah.
years, but,
Yeah.
sometimes, like, we all go through those trials and tribulations, but they're different outcomes for different populations, and that's something I'm gonna get into
Yes.
as well, but continue.
Yes.
So you have a
Yes.
mentor, you are learning new things, you're learning about Salesforce, you are actively taking
Yes.
advantage of all the professional resources available on
Yes.
LinkedIn. Tell us more.
Yes. And Kate is really good at designating and mirroring people together. Getting the opportunity to learn winning by design. It's just a whole nother professional sales training platform with in its own right, and getting exposure to that, getting exposure to the different people and different backgrounds of such as um, I want to say enterprise 8 account executive, which
Yeah.
is a whole nother level, and learning what those positions all entail,
Mhm,
being able to communicate with account executives, people in SDR roles, the difference between a BDR and an SDR, business development representative and a sales development representative, and
mhm.
also just talking in communicating with these professionals, and getting their experience of what it was like for them and how they promoted themselves up. In this cohort, I asked a lot of questions, but that's because
Okay.
I was in sales before. And it is one thing you touched on, Ty, is that it's a new, fresh start back into sales. I was a former automotive sales professional for
Nice.
about 6 years, 7 years, and the sales process is the same, but it's a different type of sales. So
Yeah.
what I really appreciate from Kate and with Strively is the content and how it's manageable, and it's enough content to actually prepare you for interviews, mock interviews, what to expect, how to get your mind into the right mindset to shift your perspective on not just the type of sales environment you're going to be in, but to shift your perspective on core values that you have so that you can be a different brand and brand yourself to be a different person. So it's not, it's more than just um, going into sales, is actually preparing yourself for a life in sales that can actually change your entire life. And that's what I'm taking from
This is exciting because,
it.
as you know, and as the audience knows, anyone who's been here before, Talking Tech with Ty, our learner series, our founder series, our community work series, our future series is about highlighting individuals and highlighting individuals that are making a difference to help everyone or a
Yes,
niche subset of people transform their lives personally and professionally. And you are
yes,
so helping us learn more about you, your journey, how you've overcome your trials and tribulations to repurpose what you've been through to rebrand and be reborn into who you are moving forward.
yes,
And it's like,
yes.
all right, uh, don't get me started now. Don't encourage me because I'm a rapper, so I might start spending some more.
Okay, okay, go ahead. I'm not mad at you.
So, um, I also want to come back to Strively's program. So, if you go to Strively's website, Strively's program is a whole person program, which is 90 days. It is disciplined, synchronous, and asynchronous, really mirrors a fast paced real life work environment. And Marvin has
Yes,
been touching on that, you know. Um, Components of the program allow people to learn through a learning lab, a sales training lab, a professional lab, the interview and career coaching portion, the professional mentorship, all these things that Marvin has gone ahead and really highlighted and is telling us how it has personally affected him and continues to help him grow, you know? So the
yeah,
mentorship, the candidates, the sponsorships, everything. I mean, this is really awesome. And it's important, just like all of these programs are important. You know, another thing to highlight is the fact that 70 million people in the United States, 70 million citizens have criminal records, you know, and I know there's a lot of stigma when it comes to criminality and when it comes to, you know, incarceration. But we really need to understand that the most common crime is larceny. That's
yes.
theft.
Ironic,
You
huh?
know, you know, 70 million people. And, you know, I've never been incarcerated. I've never been in jail. So I will be speaking with a grain of salt and from my experience, you know, I am not equating, you know, the person who steals to the person who is a murderer, the person who rapes, harms, hinders. I'm not equating that. But we need to also understand that if the majority of the prison population is people who have have oh goodness, I'm trying to be delicate,
What be
but
maybe
this
considered
is
petty
real. This is
crimes
this
or
is this is real. Petty crime, you know,
yeah,
that could be very circumstantial to living. I can't really even think about what it has been for certain populations that were vulnerable prior to COVID and
y-
the further exposure and vulnerability due to COVID. And we have now started year 3 of being in COVID. It's not over, you know? So thinking about that and the people that may now have criminal records and are added to that 70 million in the United States, you know, once you have a criminal record, it's even harder to get employment. And it's
yes, it
if you
carries along
have
with you.
yes, it's even harder to maintain that employment, and that's what I wanna get across for another reason why I wanted to highlight Strively and this program that
Yes,
is helping to upskill and reskill, and its whole person program, not only thinking about the career portion of it, but the personal portion of it, like you said, that's helping you, you know, and
hmm,
giving you the support that you need to transition and move forward. So, I mean, it's just
yeah.
really
If
exciting.
I
Go
can
ahead, talk to me.
if I can touch on a little bit of that, not to get
Yeah.
too, I guess, apolitical, but a lot of things have changed. A lot of laws have changed. In the state of California, I believe we have the per capita per person, the highest rate of formerly incarcerated or criminals with backgrounds in the union. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know the actual statistics on it, but California is a prison state, right? Everyone knows that it has. And but California is also a very beautiful state. It's a very free state. Of course, with the medicinal marijuana that had passed not too long ago, has changed that aspect. I don't know the numbers on it, but some of those cases may, people are possibly getting released. So it's all a matter of perspective, and I think that as we change, the justice system um, shines some different light and changes its mind on how to approach certain issues, such as trauma and upbringing that may lead to a life of crime. Usually, that's the case.
Or
Like myself,
circumstances.
and like
Mhm.
yes, like myself and like many others. But specifically, what I want to shine light on is there's a lot of. I was fortunate enough to have some skills coming into Strively.
Mhm.
um, Learned a lot more being in the cohort Strively, right? Which I'm very grateful for. But just experiencing from others' perspectives of how to um, adjust themselves and how to prepare themselves for a life in tech sales. And you asked earlier why Strively. Strively the sales,
Mhm.
to take you from, to take people from, unfortunate, you know, um,
Former
unfortunate
circumstances.
circumstances or traumatic
Right.
experiences
Yeah.
and transitioning and recovery in life to a platform that is not really spoken of a lot and not looked upon as a very lucrative avenue. It can be Sales can be extremely lucrative, and it caught my attention. Caught
Tech
my
sales,
attention.
software
Tech
sales. Yes,
sales, yes, caught my
exactly.
attention
Mhm.
because sales is my background, and I was doing other odd jobs, and just to try to make a living. And nothing against anyone who has jobs and stuff. I'm not speaking bad on it. It's just you find your niche, and the type of sales industry I was part of has changed, and selling a certain product that is not really building and capturing a relationship based on long term success with the client or with the customer is something that tech sales can provide. So once I learned about that, I said, okay, well let me try to do this again, and let me try to go into sales from a different perspective. It is very professional, very meaningful. It takes a different type of approach to sell it. But with that, many people coming out of the prison and industrial complex or coming out of former incarceration may not have a laptop, may not have the
Mhm.
skills to just sit still. May not have maybe working a warehouse job and taking care of children and
Mhm.
trying to make it to a meeting at a certain time. And
Mhm.
those, I think, little small things have to be also considered and taken into consideration of the transition that some people are coming from a complete type of survival mentality into a mentality in an environment where they're actually having to learn how to live, right? And I
Yeah.
think moving forward, maybe if boot camps or other organizations that have these cohorts um, can speak to that and kind of hone in on that and be a little bit more patient or a little more understanding, I think they could go even further. But those skills are for some others, not like myself, but some others that may be coming from really harder backgrounds. I've never been on this type of platform, or I've never even been in a professional environment. I think should that should be taken into consideration.
That's a profound point, because that point that you just made is another reason why I started this series, because people do not know what they don't know. And
Yes.
even if you are a quote unquote professional, and that can mean anything, you could be, you mentioned, people transitioning, but you could be in a white collar job, which maybe, in white collars, more tech sales, more corporate life, life, or you could be a blue collar professional. Maybe you are a warehouse worker, maybe you
Construction.
are construction. Exactly. Everybody has a role. Everybody has meaningful work that adds and makes a contribution to this world, you know? So
So
there are also the stigmas around what types of jobs that you're doing. 3 years ago, we were celebrating people who were our heroes, and our heroes were people that we considered were doing odd jobs, or had no career progression, like delivery people. The same people that were out there, delivering when those of us who had access to working from home, because not all jobs are able to transition into working from home.
yes,
And we
right.
considered those people that did odd jobs, like, or didn't have the career progression, like, you know, uh, delivery people, cooks, chefs, people like that, you know, and now all of a sudden people have just discarded them and just like, oh, fast food workers, and just like, oh, you don't need to make this amount of money. What you mean? A livable wage, you know?
Right.
And
Right.
it's just like we all need support. Someone who has never worked in an office, you could be coming out of college. It or you could be coming out of any training program. If you've never had experience working in an office, you need to be taught those things. Everyone needs to be taught, Think about it. We're never taught how to be a good student. We just assume that children should go to kindergarten or go to pre-K or kindergarten and matriculate. But we never teach
Right.
a class where we tell you that this is how you should study, this is what you should do, these are the things that you should do
Yes.
outside of the classroom to go ahead and supplement your success
Yes.
within the classroom. So remember,
Punctuality. Yes.
everyone needs to learn, and we all learn implicitly or explicitly. And I'm on a rant, but
Yes.
I just want to mention this. I was once a New York City school teacher. I worked, and in New York City, we have tons of schools and the neighborhood schools because of the patterning of our city. So,
Okay.
you can go to a school that's in your neighborhood. You live within like 4 blocks of it, and there's a primary school here, there's a junior high school there, or middle school, if that's the term you use, and there's a high school. Right? I was a
Okay.
junior high school teacher. I taught math and I taught dance. So, both
Wow.
academic and artistic. And I had students that literally lived across the street. I lived in a whole nother neighborhood. They literally lived across the street, and they were anywhere from 10 going on 11 to 14 because it was middle school. And they would
Mm.
get my homeroom late. And I'm like, "You live across the street." And they still couldn't
Mm.
make it there. My job is not to attack them and be like, "Why can't you make it here?" It's the fact that all these things are taught. And I try to instill in my students that, money is not a motivator. You have to learn how to show up on time from when you're a child. People expect that adults will just get that. If you never were in an environment where punctuality was something that you were taught and it was further affirmed, if you were never supported in getting to school on time, right?
Right. Right.
Throughout your entire matriculation of schooling, then why is it that you think you could get to work on time? You know?
I,
You don't just learn those things because you turned 18 and you become an adult? So
yes. Yes.
everyone needs
Um,
support, and I'm happy you're getting that. Rant done.
no, yeah, no, no, that is 100% true. I thought of something when you said that, and just reflecting back on my childhood, and how I grew up. And one thing I can speak to is entering into the tech sales industry. Um, as I touched on earlier, there's a lot of very, very professional, very intelligent um, people within the tech industry, right? From software engineers to full stack software developers, um, so many layers of
Mhm.
technology, and people that went to Princeton, Harvard, UC Berkeley, Cal Berkeley. That could be extremely intimidating, right? It could be
Okay.
extremely intimidating. So I'm very thankful for organizations such as Strively, to go into the
Period.
sales industry, because one thing that college cannot teach is the drive, the hunger, the dedication, and the willingness to just push through. And that's something that I bring to the table. That's something that I've learned from not being an A student, not being a even a B student, coming from a C student and turn that around to an A student, right? Because I wanted more in life, because I wanted to be better. So even though, and I'm not taking away from people that go to college, I actually want to go to college back myself, and that's what Strively has inspired me to want to do, to go
It's
back
not
to
the
school
only
and get a
path,
degree.
though. It's
It
not
is
the
not
only
the
path.
only path. It is not the only path. However, one thing that I bring to the table is my tenacity to learn, my
Mhm.
tenacity to be a sponge, um, and to, regardless of what's going on around me, to build relationships with others who are smart, right? So grow and achieve my greatest potential,
Mhm.
that I may not be able to see. Like you said, we don't know what we don't know, and that's what's really holding us back, right? And
Mhm.
in order for me to be someone I've never been, I have to do things I've never done, right? So, and that's all growth,
There you go.
right? So,
So, you're a rapper too. You
I, br-
dropping bars over here.
but I bring something to the table, and that's my willingness to always remain teachable, to humble myself into any environment and situation, but to have that drive and that hunter mentality to learning what I don't know, so that way I could better prepare myself. So when I approach my account executive or I approach my manager, then I could bring solutions, not necessarily just focusing on the problems, but what solutions can I bring to the table? And I think with that in mind, it'll help me to stand out a little bit above the others. So
Well, whether you stand out above the others or not, you still stand out. And those traits that you mentioned, teachability, grit, resilience, drive, those are those are traits that are needed to be human, to strive, strive with,
survive, right?
you know,
Strive, yes.
to really be in the world and in any job. And I wish you well in everything
Thank
that
you.
you do, presently and moving forward. And for those of you that are interested in learning more about Strively, please do reach out to Marvin here on
Yes,
LinkedIn. Marvin is still currently in
yes,
the program, and you're getting ready to finish up soon. So if
yes.
you have any opportunities, employment opportunities, internship opportunities, opportunities are vast, then please do reach out to Marvin. Please do tell him that, this is going on, that is going on. And I think that he is definitely preparing himself for a very bright future ahead as a tech salesman, a software sales person. So,
Yes,
not only can you reach Marvin here on LinkedIn, you can also check out Strively by going to strively.org, as well as you can check out Strively's LinkedIn profile page with the same name, strively.org. It has been like really amazing speaking to you. We've touched on
thank
a
you so
lot of
much.
things. There was so much to talk about, prison
Yes,
populations, world prison populations, criminal justice reform, all of those things. But I'm happy that we got a chance to talk to you and to talk about the impact of Strively, to see, to touch on your past, to touch on your present, and to watch you grow. So we're all wishing you continued health, wealth, success, happiness, joy. Thank you so very much for joining me, Marvin, today on
thank you for
the
having me. It's
Learners
an honor.
series. Of
Yes,
course, I
it was an
now threw
honor.
that up there.
And
But
shout
talking
out to Strively, and shout out to Ray, and shout out to all the people who have been onboarded. Congratulations to all the people who've graduated the cohort.
and also don't forget to shout out the grassroots organization that assisted you with support prior
Yes,
to starting Strively.
The Roots Community in the Bay Area and East Bay Area. It's called Roots Community, and they are phenomenal. So shout out to the Roots organization.
Absolutely. And thank you so much to everyone who's joined me, Talking Tech with Ty, for our learner series. And your girl likes to be on time. So we're going to get out of here. Bye. Have a great day,
Namaste.
everyone.
Thank you.